In this video, I want to show you two simple ways to show a loading spinner in a React application. So first, let's see what we have here. As you can see here, I have use effect. This is something that we only run once when my application loads. And what I'm doing here is calling this function that is in charge of retrieving the data from the server. So this is an API call, a GET request, that retrieves the information that I want to show in my page. And here we can see the information that we actually retrieved. The information itself arrives from this website, JSON placeholder. This website, JSON placeholder, provides a REST API so that we can test our front end. So for example, to fetch information of a to-do item, we can send a GET request to this URL, and it will retrieve this to-do item. And of course, we have to specify the ID of the to-do item that we want to retrieve. So in my case, because I wanted the network communication to take a bit longer, I'm actually calling 7 of them just to simulate the network delay. For each of the to-do items that I'm fetching, I'm extracting the title field and add it to an array. And once my array is ready, I'm updating my state. So eventually, fetched items will be updated, and then its length will not be 0 anymore, and we will actually show the items that we fetched. So let's get back to the React application, and let's refresh the page. And we can see that it shows loading for a few seconds, and then it actually shows the items that we retrieved from the server. The thing is that I want to replace this loading message, the one that we see here. Instead of it, I want a loading spinner. So the first method we're going to see is to use an NPM package, and specifically, we will be using this package, React Circular Progress Bar. This package is first and foremost to show actual progress bars, things in the style that we see here, which are actual progress bars. But we are going to use it for a loading spinner, and here is how we're going to do that. So let me install this package with npm install, and then the name of the package, and it's now being installed. Now let's scroll down a bit. And under usage, we see that first we need to import these two lines. So let me paste them to the top of my file. And then we can use the circular progress bar component. So let me copy this line and paste it to my code. So here, instead of loading, I'll use the component, but I don't want any text inside it. So I'll remove the text. And as for the value, I'll go with 65. And let's see how it looks now. So let's start the development server again. So npm run dev. And if I refresh my page, we can see that it looks this way. Now, there are a few things that I would like to improve here. First, this is too big. I don't want it to be that big because by default it's going to use up the width of the elements that it's contained in. So what I'm going to do is to set the width of the containing div. So let's assign this to a new class, and I'm going to call it spinner wrapper. And now let me create a new spinner.css file. So inside my source folder, let's create spinner.css. And let's set the style for our spinner wrapper class. And for now, it's only going to be the width of the element, which is going to be 60. And back in the main file, we need to import this CSS file. So import, and it's going to be a relative path, so spinner.css. And here is how it looks like in the Explorer view. So here is app.jsx, and here is spinner.css. And let's restart the development server. And if we refresh the page again, it looks this way, which is much better. And maybe for now, let me change the condition here so we actually see it all the time. Now it's not going to disappear. I want this section to be transparent. So here we can see that we have control over additional styling. So here I'm going to add the styles prop. And here we can set the trail. So trail, and specifically I want to set its color, which is stroke, and it's simply going to be transparent. And now it looks like this, so the missing part is transparent. Next, I would like this thing to actually spin. And this is something that we're going to do in our CSS. So let's go back to our CSS file. And here I'm going to add an animation. So for name, I'll go with spin. For duration, I'll go with 1 second. The timing function will simply be linear. And I want the animation to be shown continuously, so infinite. And we don't need the rest of them. Then I need to define the keyframes for spin that I defined here. So keyframes for spin. And all I want it to do is to rotate 360 degrees. So in the to, I'm going to specify transform. And the type of transformation I want is rotate. And let's ask it to rotate 360 degrees. And actually, we don't even have to specify the from. So let's get back to the main file. And let me restore the original condition. And if we refresh now, we can see the loading spinner for a while. And then we can see the actual items that we fetched from the server. So this was one way. And I want to show you an additional way, which is in a way even simpler and more versatile. And this is going to be to use this website, loading.io. So this website contains a lot of loading spinner animations that we can download for free. And it's also really customizable. So we can change the color. For for example this, we can change the corner value, the bar width, the bar height, the speed, so it can be very slow or it can be very, very fast, and so on and so forth. And we can also get back to the default values. And if you don't like this spinner, there are a lot of other options to choose from. So you have this, and even a nice Pac-Man animation. Once you are done customizing, click on the link here. I'll go with GIF. Then we need to click on the green button to download the animation. And now let me move it from the downloads folder to my project. So I want to place it inside my public folder here. And let's paste the file. And let's rename it to something shorter. Let's say Bean Eater. And what we're going to return now is simply an image. And the source is going to be the image we just downloaded. And let's comment out the rest of it. So let's refresh the page. And we can see the animation for a while. And then we can see the actual items.